6000. They do a great comedy show up there. Keith Lennart's there tonight, and they have great food and great atmosphere at Burroughs Roadhouse. It is definitely a destination restaurant. You want to get up there and check it out. Great atmosphere, great building, plenty of parking, and good drinks and great prices. So check them out. You can go to thecurrentonline.com, and it's on page 13. Page 15. You can catch some coupons in there and check it out. 810-227-6000 or go to burroughs-roadhouse.com. Okay, so it's first Saturday of the month, and we've got Congressman Tim Walberg from the 7th District calling in. Tim, welcome.
Well, good to be with you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Tim. Glad to have you aboard.
Good to talk to you again.
Well, good to be back. It's been a full first week since our swearing in on Tuesday. Accomplished quite a bit this week, and back home, and then we'll be back on Monday to start it all over again with committees in place. And I had the privilege this past week of being nominated and appointed to the Energy and Commerce Committee, which is the oldest committee in Congress, and many people dream about being on, including myself, and I'm on it. And we'll be one of the two committees in the House dealing with the repeal of Obamacare and placement.
Oh, good. Now, Tim, I get a lot of emails from you, and I'm sure a lot of our taxpayers do. The REINS Act. Can you give me a little update on the REINS Act, which is allegedly it's going to curb a whole lot of red tape for us?
Yeah, we passed that this week. We've passed it in the last two Congress as well, but it dies in the Senate because the president puts out a veto order on it, and Harry Reid and now Chuck Schumer hold it up. In this case, we have a president who will sign it, and a president who has a Twitter page who will use it. And I think there are about 25 senators from the Democrat side, including some relatively moderate ones, that will be a little bit worried about the president tweeting out, "These guys are stopping a REINS Act, which will rein in the bureaucracy, put the power back where it ought to be in Congress to approve or disapprove of regulations, specifically in this case, any regulation that has a cost of over $100 million, which is very insignificant in the cost of regulations. 82% of the regulations passed by the president and signed by the president and approved by the president's administration this past year were above that. So this will have a huge impact in saying that if that's the case, it has to come back to Congress to review it and to either approve or disapprove. So it's really doing what we, under the Constitution, have the responsibility and the power to do, but in a typically lazy way. Years back, we started giving the authority to the bureaucracy to put the rules together, and then we gave them the ability to put those rules with only the requirement that they have public comment on it. But even if the public comment shows that the rule is absolutely stupid, or worse than that, hurtful to our economy or to our freedom in the United States, they don't have to listen to that if they don't want to, and we've seen that take place this past year especially. And unfortunately, the courts, in several key issues, after we brought lawsuit on the regulatory agencies, Department of Labor specifically, we won in the courts. But it shouldn't be that way. Congress should take action on it and have the final say.
Right. And for those that are asking what REINS is, it's the regulations from the executive in need of scrutiny, which is pretty self-explaining right there. So, Tim, do you expect a lot when on the 21st, the day after the ceremonies, do you expect Donald Trump to really hammer a lot of those Obama executive decisions and just undo them by executive fiat to undo them?
Well, let me give you the words of Vice President-elect Pence, who met with us Wednesday of this week, and it answers that directly. He said this will be the shortest inaugural parade in modern history. It'll only be 90 minutes for the purposes of allowing the president then to get from the parade, which there ought to be celebrations in inauguration, but it doesn't have to go on for hours, and to get from the parade to his desk, which will be prepared for him as he's being inaugurated. President Obama's desk or his belongings will be taken out of the White House, and the Trumps will be brought into the White House, and this new president-elect wants to get to that desk and start signing executive order cuts. He plans to, in that first day, before it goes to the balls in the evening, sign the ending of numerous Obama executive orders, and that I applaud him for doing.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm glad to see that that's going to happen. And I guess when we look at the Senate, Tim, because I was tweeting a lot about the Senate this week, and I'm always tweeting to McConnell, not that he ever probably sees anything, but what is the chance that we're going to continue this lack of getting anything through the Senate? You know, you guys have passed hundreds of bills in the last 2 years, and they haven't gone past, even with the Republicans in control of the Senate, they haven't gone anywhere. Is there any talk of going nuclear option to do anything to finally get ahead and get something done, or are we going to have to still wait this game out until 2018?
Well, really, there should be no need of nuclear option. There was never a filibuster until it came, I believe it was in the 60s or possibly the early 70s when the filibuster rule came through. So this is not a constitutional issue. This is simply rules of the Senate. And it really takes away the ability for the majority, and that being the majority of the people, to be represented. And the minority, one senator, can stop it all. And that is not the way it ought to be. However, senators make their own rules. So we've been negotiating with them since the beginning of this past term to consider, at the very least, on the budgetary appropriation areas, that filibuster can only last up until the one month prior to the end of the budget, and then it's all off. The appropriations package has to be taken up. Now, the nuclear option has only been used in history for confirmations. It's never been used for legislative policy. So we're still negotiating that, and we would like to see the Senate do away with filibuster. It's not only Mitch McConnell, but Senator Cruz and others still believe that it's important because sometime they believe they'll be in the minority and they'd like to use it. Well, doggone it. We don't have it in the House. We have to move things forward. They should do it as well. They can have lengthy requirements for debate, such as what they're doing right now. They will be completing their 50-hour mandated debate time on the budget resolution, which they will start, and they have started already, to get to the House early next week. So by Thursday of this next week, we can vote on passage of the budget resolution, which will then allow us the following week to begin work on the reconciliation bill, which will enable us to repeal Obamacare and defund Planned Parenthood and a number of other things that deal with specifically budgetary items. So that's the process. But no, I can't tell you for sure. The only thing, Gary, that we have hope about that's different from the past is that we have a president who will be willing to tweet out to these senators, Republicans and Democrats districts, and say, call your senator. They are holding up the process of doing what I promised to get done, what many of your members of Congress said they would do. And if Joe Manchin and others are willing to take the heat of their constituents after Donald Trump tweets out, as he's known to do and does very well, then, more power to them. They're going to have to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I said in the election run-up was that, you know, here's a guy who does have the ability. And I don't know that any of our other candidates had that ability to reach out to the public in such a fashion and get them to support, because I knew that this was going to be coming. And I think we've seen a little bit here and there. And of course, you get the Democrats saying you can't be a president and be tweeting out all the time. It's just not presidential. But you know what? It is the bully pulpit now that he can literally reach out to the people, like you said. And even Debbie Stabenow, which I would love to see the people of Michigan start holding her accountable and get her to get off her duff and actually vote for something that's good for the state of Michigan, good for the people of the United States, because she always seems to be stepping in line with Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and just doing whatever. Yeah, doing everything they can to be an obstructionist when the Republicans have something going, and then just rubber stamping anything that the Democrats want to do. And it's about time we get a senator here in Michigan who actually wants to do something that's good for the country and good for our state.
Well, that's where Donald Trump will come in handy. And to say that it isn't presidential to communicate with the people who put him in office and he is serving is absolutely insane. Ronald Reagan was excellent. That was before tweets. But he went directly to the people, and at that time the media would cover him. And he'd hold his fireside chats or his Oval Office chats, and he'd speak directly to people, and he'd call the people of South Dakota or Illinois or Michigan to contact their legislators to support the item that he was pushing. It was absolutely presidential, and Trump is using new technology. I mean, we can question sometimes the attitude expressed or the language used being presidential or not, but to say that he does not have a presidential obligation to communicate with the people, it goes against everything that this government is about. It's of the people, by the people, and you communicate with the people to complete that. So I look forward to seeing that, and if you have time, we can talk about how he did it this past week and how it can be done better in the future and the impact that it can have.
Yeah, well, let's do that. He did tweet out, and I don't know where you sat on this, Tim, because we didn't get a chance to talk earlier in the week. One of the things that kind of came out this week was the removal of the ethics board. And I'm not going to say I know a whole lot of what that was all about because I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to it. But the perception and the optics certainly were really bad. And what can you tell us about that? Because then Trump came out and he did the tweet, and then Paul Ryan and crew kind of reversed the whole idea of getting rid of the ethics committee, right?
Well, let me give the full picture because you're absolutely right. No one, not only you, but no one probably, unless they are a political wonk, knew what OCE even stood for, let alone knew that was a second ethics committee in the House. The Senate doesn't have one. We have a House Ethics Committee, which is made up of equal number of Democrats and Republicans every term. And it does pretty well. Well, Nancy Pelosi took office as Speaker of the House in 2007, and in order to kind of throw up a bit of fog over the scandals that were going on in her caucus at the time, she called for a second Ethics Committee, which was OCE. And that is very unique. It has no purpose other than to take information brought to them by whoever, indicating that there's something unethical going on with a member of Congress. That member of Congress who is being charged does not have the right or opportunity to meet, see, or even hear the name of the person making the charges. That goes fully against due process that we expect in this country. And this agency can also leak information to the press. So we've seen colleagues, good colleagues of mine, reputation destroyed and $100,000, $150,000 of legal fees trying to exonerate themselves, and most do, that have been brought as part of this committee. So there has been an effort. Louis Gohmert, who's not known to be anything but a conservative, Jim Jordan, and others, including Bob Goodlatte, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, wanted to see this changed. However, this was the wrong time to do it. The first day back, without giving them information like I'm giving to you right now about what we're actually talking about.
Yeah, so we kind of shot ourselves in the foot, right?
Oh, yeah, and then Trump didn't check to find out what the issue was. He just tweeted out because it went with his mantra, which is a good mantra, of draining the swamp, and he attacked. Well, I think we all learned from this. We've talked with Mike Pence about it as well. Mike Pence has been given an office in the House. He already has an office in the Senate as president of the Senate, but he is a man of the House, and I think he's going to provide a lot of help. And so in the future, Paul Ryan and leadership did not want this rule to go forward and spoke strongly against it, and those of us who didn't support it were opposed to it, but the numbers pushed it, and then overnight found out that there wouldn't be enough numbers because of that to pass the regular rules package. And so the leadership brought us in the next morning and said, listen, we're going to continue operating in a bottom-up membership up approach, not top-down. But on this one, we have to appeal to you to back away from this, to withdraw it, because this is not what we need to be talking about the first day that we can't even pass our rules package, which is a good rules package because of this that's in here. And Mr. Trump now has tweeted out, the American public don't understand it. They think we're trying to be unethical when that's not the case. And while we were harmed and while it was kind of ugly, yet it was good we backed away from it. And I think now the next time this happens, the Speaker will contact the White House and say, listen, this is what we're talking about. We want you on the same page. Frankly, it was bad strategy which allowed Donald Trump to tweet for no reason at all because we didn't do our strategy right. And hopefully we've learned from